Hey, what's up guys? Today we're doing a bit of a different video, doing a little channel update talking about the state of videos and why there was a little bit of gap in uploads. We'll talk about the state of the attachment pack as well as a mod that I just released that you can play today. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. First of all, you may have noticed if you're a dedicated viewer who watches every single video that a couple weeks ago we kind of had a bit of a gap in content, not just videos but also mods that I'm making. It started off as just a simple vacation. I took about a week off for some mental health to take some time for me to do the things I enjoy and not think about work. Something that I think everybody should do every once in a while, especially when stress starts to bog down on them. And that was all that was really to it. It was just a week off, no big deal. But the week after, where I was supposed to come back and get everything back to normal, things just didn't quite go that way. Life got in the way and I got super busy. There were weddings to attend, bachelor parties, and just straight up chores and things I had to do. So when it comes to that, I was just really busy. So 1 week turned into 2 weeks and content just kind of slowed down. Obviously there were still a couple videos here and there, but not nearly as much as normal. And now I think starting today, things should be back in full swing. Now, I'm not saying one video every single day, but at the very least one video every other day. Still plenty of content and plenty of mods to talk about. Now, on top of that, the videos aren't the only thing that suffered from the little vacation as well as the busy little spurt that I had. The same is true for the attachment pack, sadly. There is a pretty significant gap since I've worked on it, which is something that I'm sad to say has happened. So really nothing has changed since the last attachment pack update you saw on the channel. So sorry about that if you've been awaiting that. It is something that I'm going to be working on starting today again, so there is that at least. It will be coming out. Don't worry, the project is not dead. It's just that I did take a little bit of a break from it. But there is some good news from that. Not only was I taking a break from YouTube for my mental health, but also from the attachment pack because it's just a lot and I was getting super burnt out on it, but I wanted to be able to still do modding, so I actually made another mod, which is out today that you can try out. But first, let's actually talk about the attachment pack. There are a couple of things I want to touch on before we move off of that topic. So as you know, the attachment pack is underway and I've been putting out updates every so often as soon as I have something to show for it. We've completed, I'd say, about a third of the weapons that'll be in the pack, I think, that are completely done. So that is really cool and I'm glad to see the progress coming along. But sadly, I do think that it's coming a lot slower than I had anticipated. It's surprising how long it takes to actually make these attachments. You think it would be easier since it's just attachments and not even full weapons, but there is a level of difficulty of matching the style of Bethesda's vanilla weapons, not only in terms of art, you know, matching the textures and the shapes and making sure that everything works, but also making everything fit the style, not just aesthetically, but also functionally for how it works in Fallout 4. So maybe there's a certain way I would approach adding, say, a laser sight in my own mod, but in order to make it work with the vanilla weapons, it's a little bit more difficult and there's a lot of troubleshooting. You'd be surprised how much you have to work around to make everything cohesive and functionally nice. Because you could easily just throw in attachments and it would be really sloppy and things won't work well together, but I'm trying to make it the most user-friendly experience possible, which does take just a little bit more time. So I am worried that I won't be able to finish the whole project by the end of the year. As a matter of fact, I think it's pretty much guaranteed that I won't be able to finish by the end of December because there's still a lot more weapons to cover, especially in the DLCs, but this project is still underway. I plan to hit it really hard, and so we should see some cool updates coming very soon. I'm currently working on the laser rifle, and I've got some really fun, promising stuff to show off for that. You may even see some of it in the footage in the background. By the way, if you have any fun laser attachments, be sure to leave them in the comments because I am running into a little bit of a, I don't know if you could call it writer's block, but designer's block for attachments for the laser rifle. I've got some cool barrels and some cool scopes and even a couple muzzle attachments, but I'd love to hear if you guys have any more creative ideas because I know you guys are great at that. I think that covers scheduling, content, and the attachment pack. Everything is now back underway. The break is over, and we're back into full swing. Now, the other thing to talk about is the mod that I just released. While taking a break from the attachment pack, I wanted to try my hand at something new to get the creative juices flowing and modding once again, so I made my first melee weapon, and that is going to be the Survival Hatchet. And we'll use the rest of this video to do a little mini mod review of this thing because it is still a full weapon, but there's not as much as, say, a full-on gun mod because it is just a melee weapon. But still, the survival hatchet is really, really cool. A super lore-friendly design. I think a hatchet should have been in the game from the very beginning, especially given the area that we are in, which is heavily forested, or at least it was before the war. And we even had a hatchet back in New Vegas in one of the DLCs, so I don't see why there isn't one in Fallout 4. We actually had a mod of this not too long ago that added a very, very simple hatchet, and I actually showed it off and had a couple of minor complaints about the mod, and rather than waiting for an update, I figured why not make a hatchet of my own? So I went ahead and did so. So now you can download the survival hatchet. This thing is added to the leveled list. You'll find it on Gunners, Raiders, and Minutemen after level 5, and you can also purchase it from vendors, of course. This thing has a surprising amount of attachments for a simple melee weapon. There's a handful of heads you can throw on, as well as handles that will all have their own unique buffs, which I think is a lot of fun and allows you to customize this thing not only how you like aesthetically, but also functionally. I think there just aren't enough lore-friendly melee weapons out there, and I do plan to do some packs in the future after the attachment pack is done, and so I wanted to try a single weapon mod out to make sure I could actually do it first, because even though it's simpler than a gun, there are a couple of little things you have to get right, like the leveled lists were really tricky on this one for some reason, and also getting proper blood textures, something that you don't have to worry about with guns. You have to add a layer so that the blood actually splatters correctly and at the right time, so that's pretty interesting. And altogether, it was just a fun little experience and a nice little experiment. Now, really quick, let's go ahead and show off the attachments that are in this thing, since this is a mini mod review, and I'm sure you want to know what exactly you're going to get when you download this mod. So here we are at the weapons workbench, checking out the survival hatchet. And I have to say, I'm really, really happy with this thing. I know it's a simple little axe, but I really tried to give some attention to detail, making sure there's a properly grinded edge. As you can see, there's a nice little reflective bit on the end there, a nice wood handle with proper wedges on the eye, and also some nice rust to make this thing look like it's actually been in the wasteland for a while, but with rust removed where it's been grinded to a sharp edge. So I think this came out very, very nice. Now, let's go ahead and start off with the heads that you can have on this thing. There is, of course, the standard hatchet head. There's an electrified version of the hatchet head, which was a lot of fun to make. It's really interesting making these wrapping shapes that go around for the coils here. We have a heating coil head, which is going to be the same thing, except instead of shock damage, it will be incendiary. We have the puncturing head, which is very similar to the standard head, except you're going to get a huge damage upgrade for the big pointed bit at the end, as well as a more sharpened front end. And then we also have a bearded head, because I just really like this style of axe, and I love Nordic stuff, so this looks super, super cool. And then for the handles, we have a couple of options as well. We have the standard wood handle. There is a light handle, which is going to decrease the weight and increase the swing speed, but give you a tiny bit decreased damage. So you will be able to swing this thing faster, which enables more DPS overall, but it just has less damage per hit. Then for the heavy handle, we actually have the opposite. We have increased weight and increased damage. So this is going to be a nice thick metal handle, which I think looks really, really cool. I also implemented the Hatchet little emblem from Fallout 76 to make this thing look even more lore friendly. And then there is a camo handle, which functions very much the same as the light handle, except this one gives you bonus to your sneak attack damage, which may not be the most immersive thing in the world, but I thought it was funny and interesting and actually gives a reason to pick this handle over, say, the light handle. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Obviously, there's not nearly as many attachments as you can throw onto a gun, but I tried to have as much fun with it as possible, give some cool cosmetic options, as well as functional reasons to pick all of the attachments, which I think is really, really important for a melee weapon. So if you want to try this mod out, it is already available on PC, and I'm sure there will be an Xbox port very, very soon. This thing is only 12 megabytes, so it's really, really small. Surprisingly, it has pretty high quality textures, yet it's a super small mod because there's just not as many moving parts as a gun. So if you want to try this one out, I highly recommend it. And hey, you can never have too many lore-friendly melee weapons. This thing shows up pretty often, about as much as you'd find a tire iron, so be sure to keep your eye on Raiders if you want to pick one of these up. With that, I think that covers pretty much everything that's been going on lately. I know a lot of you guys say not to worry and to take as much time as I need, but I just really like being transparent with this kind of stuff, especially for those of you who are awaiting all of the mod projects I'm working on. I know the attachment pack is something that many people want right now, but it's just going to take a little bit more time because I want to make sure that thing is absolutely perfect on release. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the little update. Be sure to stay tuned for new content. We'll have videos coming just about every other day, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Peace.